Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and if you want to see a game where you're being hacked and you're under the gun and you still find a way to come back, this is the game for you. At the bottom here, I am playing as a saber-tooth specialist, and I am up against Ooh-doo-doo da-da-da, playing as a giant specialist. And whenever you're seeing Tarantula into sledgehammers, you just want to make sure that you have enough cover and enough chaff against the eventual march of the marksman. He already starts with the 3, and he probably will going to add a few more. I really like the way that he starts his board here. Instead of getting chaff, he just ends up getting more chaff clear. And I absolutely agree with this line of thinking, because this is not the kind of thinking that based on what you want on your board, but rather what does your opponent have. In this case, I have the tarantulas. I might potentially add more tarantula, which means I am going to be very good in terms of chaff clear. For my opponent, however, the sledgehammers are terrible at chaff clear, and he's already facing 3 squads of crawlers. So if I go 5 squads of crawlers, then these sledgehammers won't stand a chance. So instead, he is answering what he's weak at by supplementing his army with arc. I think this is an absolutely beautiful play here. I wish more players would do this, because I know for a lot of new players, when you start off this game, right, a lot of the advice would start off with, you want to build chaff in round 1 and round 2. Yes, that is generally true. But in this situation, I think my opponent made the right decision. You can always add more chaff starting at round 2. All right, round 2 is a saber-tooth round. It's also a ER Vulcan card, so my opponent being a giant spec, instant smash that card. ER Vulcan is very good in a defensive position because it outranges a lot of things, so as my army is moving into him, he just sits there and spew fire at my entire line here. All right. After Sabertooth, whenever you have Sabertooth and Tarantula, you want to be a little careful with where you want to position these 2 units. The interesting dynamic that I found that works is I like to have the Sabertooth either on the line or slightly in front of the Tarantula. The reason for that is you always want the Sabertooth to hit first. Them being the heavy hitters, they're less likely to be stuck on things. If it's hitting chaff as his first shot, then the chaff will simply die. If it's locking onto a giant on his first shot, then it's actually on target, so no problem there. Because if you think about it in reverse, right? If the tarantula is in front of the saber-tooth, if there's chaff, sure, no problem. But if there is a unit with a high HP, whether it's a tank or a giant, then that tarantula is going to be stuck shooting that giant for a very, very long time, which means the saber-tooth will have to deal with chaff. So all of a sudden you have this very inefficient firing setup where your chaff clear is shooting at giants, and then your giant killer is shooting at chaff. So, and this applies to both saber-tooth tarantula, it applies to arclight marksman, it applies to Vulcan melting point, right? In all of these interactions, you want to have either these units on a line here, so that if your opponent wants to try something funny, there's a very small chance for them to drastically stagger, or you want to have your heavy hitter slightly in front of your chaff clear, because your heavy hitter will more likely to kill whatever is shooting at very quickly, and then your chaff clear will hopefully lock onto a chaff. All right, back into this game. We are at round 3. We have a unit drop. And my opponent decided to take the level 3 Phoenixes, and I wanted to take the level 1 Fire Badgers. Why level 1 Fire Badgers? Well, whenever you're attacking into a defensive position, it's very important to disrupt his army formation as much as possible. Having Fire Badgers on the corner here just means that everything behind the tower in this box here, maybe with the exception like here in the middle, is all going to be pulled to the side. Even if they can kill my Fire Badger very quickly, in that first few seconds where the units are running towards my Fire Badgers, that's the opportunity for my front army to get in. Because imagine if these crawlers are not running to the Fire Badger, but instead running forward, by now they would have arrived in front of this marksman, which means if I want to put an extra unit right here, just to target this marksman, knowing that there's not going to be any crawler support, I can. So that's the importance whenever you're playing aggro, have units in the deep flank to disrupt your opponent's timing of their units. And another general good advice is to have upshoot, because I don't have any upshoot, so I automatically lose this round. All right, we're looking at round 4. Reinforcement cards. A nano repair is very interesting on a giant. Supply enhancement might also be good here. We're only at round 4, so we can definitely go 3 more rounds. So I took supply enhancement, and giant is getting nano. So this is the round that I need to make sure that 1, I have some type of upshoot, and then 2, I can hopefully very quickly get into a tower. My opponent, realizing the lack of upshoot, is now just going to go crazy with the phoenixes. Here is my upshoot in the form of a single marksman all the way at the corner here. Not much, but that's all I can afford at this turn, because I do want to have just a few more Sabertooth to deal with this giant Vulcan. Now with Nano, so I'm a little concerned about firepower, so added another Sabertooth, now 2 Sabertooth with range. Should allow me to dispatch the sledgehammers very quickly and then eventually get to the giant. I'm very surprised that he hasn't added even more chaff at the front, especially now that I have Spider Mine. I feel like Spider Mine works so well into sort of a carry line here that you kind of have to have chaff. And these crawlers are simply not going to be there to protect you. I got rid of my Fire Badger here, actually, because I needed a little bit more money for some chaff. Alright, tanks are doing work. The left-hand side was dispatched fairly quickly, but the sledges are now ranged, which means they can actually do quite a bit of damage. Ooh, was not able to get his Vulcan. That's super sad. And also no upshoot on the far right. So this game is actually slipping away rather quickly from me. And a huge hit from my opponent. Lots of interesting cards, but I think the one with the most threat here from my opponent is probably Mobilized Battleship. I was already having some issues at the front, but with Mobilized Battleship, I think he was actually able to take my tower, which allows him to win this round and the game. So I couldn't allow that, so I have to take the Mobilized Battleship. And also I've added 2 more squads of Fangs. Interesting breakpoint with Mobilized Battleship is that if you take +1, you get to one-shot your opponent's battleship. Alright, so added more crawlers, more Fangs. AA on the marksman. Realizing that upshoot is my problem, so any way to get my marksman more efficient and also protect them from the rest of the army is the right way to go. So AA essentially allows them to shoot past the marksman here into the Phoenix. Cheeky missile just to get rid of the sledgehammer on both sides, because I really had no idea if my opponent is going to put chaff. So he is going to put chaff in the form of these Fangs, but right now both the tanks are going to get missile. Fortunately, there's no Mobilized Battleship on the back end, which means now my boat is just going to be joining the rest of the army. The upshoot is working. As you can see right now, once we get rid of the Arclight, it's going to lock onto the Phoenix, and on the other side as well. The marksman is two-shotting, or one-shotting these level 3 Phoenixes. So a pretty good swing round. And also my boat survives, which means that's another 350 to my opponent's HP. However, it was a very expensive round because this is a temporary boat at the cost of 200 supplies, and I still haven't really adequately answered the sort of upshoot problem. All right, another unit drop. Steel balls could be very interesting here. Steel balls with armor at level 3 actually negates almost the level 1 Vulcan, and since they're both level 1 with Scourge, they'll only be doing 2 damage to these steel balls per hit. So I added 2 squads of steel balls with armor, hoping that they would be the primary tank here while the rest of my army would just get in. And my opponent seemed to have read my mind with these level 2 hackers. They are great against the spider mines. They're even better against steel balls. So a very well played round here for my opponents with these hackers. And that's creating a whole lot of problem for me, because not only were my steel balls not able to tank against these weapons, they'll also be turned, which means my marksman, instead of shooting at phoenixes, will be very busy shooting at my own steel balls, so now with armor. And my opponent got a level 3 Farseer, which means it can dispatch even my chaff clear very quickly. So this is going to be a pretty ugly round here. And to make it even worse, I took Lone because I wanted to make sure that I have a big swing round here, and it's going to fire back at my face. Extra missile went down. I'm gonna go straight into those barriers. All right, here are the mines going in. Here are the steel balls trying to get in. One of them is already stolen. Good thing I do have a big saber, so at the very least I don't have to suffer too much from my own steel balls. But look at that. Like, everything is just being disrupted here by my opponent. Now my upshoot is still kind of working here. No longer one-shotting these birds. Ooh, Sabertooth not able to get the job done on that second shot on the hacker. And now my HP is down to 360. That's pretty rough. All right, we got options here. I don't think any of these options is really good for me. Right now, my army moves very fast. So yes, laser sight might be good, but I just need to get my army out there. So the steel balls took range on all my tarantulas, so at least they offer some protection against these now level 3 hackers. Super scary. I do have another pack of steel balls still running in here. Phoenix gets Resurrect or Quantum Assembly. Added more late arriving chaff, just more targets for this big hacker to hit. Another Sabertooth goes down. Right there in the middle and directly at this Vulcan here. So here's the game plan for this round. All of his chaff clear seems to be on the same line, and beyond this line there's no more chaff clear, which means my late arriving Fangs should do okay into whatever my opponent's got. The real problem though is on the left hand side we still got that Farseer. Let's see if this works out for me. Late arriving Fangs coming in. My opponent's chaff wave is clearing out, so there's no more chaff wave. Sabertooth getting in, Sabertooth getting the job done. Level 3 gets it. On the other side, the Vulcan gets it. We still have crawlers on the ground. Alright, no more Vulcan. We're gonna pop. There we go. Pop the tower. A very close round here. We got a single upshoot. Now with Quantum Assembly, it will take me some time to clear out these Phoenixes. And the question is, will I clear out these Phoenixes before it clears out my big units? And the answer seems to be yes. Alright, a clutch round here with just a few units left over. Let's see if we can turn this back. Now my opponent knows exactly what to do. Unit drop. Triple Wasp. Got instantly clicked. There's just no other good options. Mustang died to the Vulcans, right? Triple Wasp allows me to really get in there in the air. And I was worried that my opponent is either going to get Triple Wasp of his own, or he's going to get the big raids with range. So I added the range and AA to deal with both. Another concern is for my opponents to get the Mustangs, but I wasn't expecting Mustangs from my opponent's side. I think he, with so many Tarantulas that's already on the ground, that's already range, I think having Mustangs may not be the best option. If anything, he would go air even harder, knowing that I don't have a good AA. So triple wasp seems to be the most likely option for my opponent. All right, so AA with range is going to dispatch these phoenixes very quickly. So even if it's got quantum assembly, it's not going to do much. The melting point is scary. However, the melting point will be locked onto this wasp as well. So the wasp is serving multiple purposes in this round. It's serving as a reliable anti-air into these phoenixes. It's also serving as a chaff against these melting points. All right, level 3 phoenixes are down. A huge chunk of damage being removed from my opponent's board. The big saber-tooth is still alive though. All the phoenixes on the right side are killed. Big saber are now on target and we're also on tower. Gets the tower. Gets the level 3 hacker. Moving on to the other side. I still have a single upshoot, but there's just too many phoenixes spawning. But with the tower down, I think this is it. That is going to be it. Just barely getting a win out of a losing game. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more combat games like this, I got another one for you. And I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.